something about the writing that really struck me is that there's no black and white villains in this, as in, you know, this guy's clearly a bad guy, this guy's clearly a good guy. There's a lot of shades of grey in this show. And that must be a lot of fun to get involved in.
Yeah, it is. It's quite... Bill sort of started, you know, we all had our characters and we thought we knew what they were. You know, at the start of season 1, you're the hero, you're the villain, you're the anti-hero, and he sort of completely takes that idea and chucks it to the other side. So, you know, it is... it's almost like the grey, you know, you literally go from black to white, you know, it's literally, your character is completely turned upside down, which is like, you know, interesting and brilliant to play as an actor, but it can be a bit of a head mess, you know, you have to literally take your ideas of the character from there to there, so it's, you know, it's an interesting thing to play.
And Bill kind of constantly said to us over 3 years that he is fascinated or obsessed by putting characters in bad situations. So villains or villainy can kind of come from anywhere. It's that obstacle that person has to overcome, and that can be two meetings of minds who don't agree. And that's where that kind of grey area comes from. Two people who otherwise separately would be absolutely fine by themselves, don't agree on something, and they become their own villains. And certainly this year for Christopher, he gets that. He butts heads with a couple of people, and has done actually repeatedly throughout the 3 years. He's butted heads with people in a higher power who he doesn't necessarily agree with, and they become adversaries. And it doesn't mean because the people who is his adversary are bad people, but situations can force good people to do bad things. It's the eternal setup. Every season of 24 is basically just Jack Bauer, a good man doing a bad thing for the sake of the country. So he didn't actually talk like that. But you know, but it's Bill has that exploration in this where he takes people who have otherwise been in good situations and forcing them to do bad things, and that's so interesting for audiences to see people do these things that seem so out of character.
What's your relationship like with the writers of the show? I mean, how much give and take is there between? I mean, over the course of the 3 years, they must have had an overall arc, and yet, have you fed into that?
It's a good example.
Yeah. So obviously, when I started the show, I was 19, now 22. So kind of growing up with my character, and as I've grown older, Bill's kind of grown with me and my character. So, you know, going from year to year is becoming a man as a character and in real life was interesting. So he did write with me and my character. So yeah.
There was that moment where he was at dinner with us at the end of season 2, and he kind of just saw me and he went, I haven't really noticed that like Luke has really kind of like grown seemingly, and
little bit of bum fluff on my chin, and he went, he's grown.
Let's work with that.
Yeah, let's work with that. Exactly. Yeah.
You also became an absolute muscle man as well over the years.
Yeah.
You know, and
he
it's
got
just
snapped. We actually look back on the initial. You unearthed the pictures of you in your first costume. It was the funniest things. And if you look at him at the end of season 3, where he's walking around like Ben Affleck in Pearl Harbor, and like, but then like the initial shots of you looking like you're about to go to Hobbiton or wherever it is that they're from.
I know,
literally.
I know. It is mad. But yeah.
It's mad that you matured into an attractive man, isn't it?
Don't know what
we were all surprised.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We thought it was a lost cause.
Yeah. Still kind of not great. But he does it with everyone, really, doesn't he?
You're saying he's done it.
I think he takes great joy in putting the characters through hell. You know, it keeps it interesting. It's like there's nothing more. Nobody wants to watch in TV. There's no drama in people having happy lives. You know, it sounds terrible, but it's like. He used to say about the shadows, you know, he'd go, it's all going well, it's not dramatic, it's not exciting, so he'd love to just chuck in something that would really mess that up for the shadows and make it as difficult as possible for them to sort of get back to this happiness.
You found out that Steve was a boxer and then wrote that in. Yeah. And he found out that I played cricket, and so he wrote that in. And Bill just does it, and because it is his show, and he is going to have his ideas for the show, but there are little details after you get to know people over a period of time that he will begin to write and steal from, because that's that's what it is. We are, you know, we're not the characters at all, but we are, you know, they are extensions of who we are, and we have helped grow them in the same way that he has. So I'm sure he saw rushes and explained stuff. Actually, at the end of the read through for season 3, he'd written a load of the episodes already, but I was sat next to him at the urinal, and he was saying to himself, I sat.
Hang on a minute.
Whoa.
Sitting in the urinal.
No, all the cubicles were busy, and I went, you're right, Bill. And then just pull the trousers down. I went, I hope you don't mind this. So we got so comfortable at the end of the season that I just took a big dump next to him. And I sat next to him, trousers down, you know, drunk, swear out.
And he wrote it in.
And I sat next to Bill and I said, Bill, Christopher loves to poo standing up.
I love that story. Just went from you read the read through, and then I was standing with you.
Yeah, I was. By the way, I heard him at the urinal, and he was chanting to himself. Please. No, he was actually saying under his breath. He was listing a load of characters, and I just went, because it was awkward, and we were the only ones in there, and I heard him talking to himself. I went, "You're right, Bill," and he went, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, I'm just coming up with the names of characters that I need to write more for as the series goes on." As he hears the words aloud, because he'd just come out from the read through, and he was just saying to himself, "Yeah, we need to hear more from this, and more from this, and more from this, and more from this." So he would hear us say these lines, and lines that he'd just written on the page. And I was sitting next to him taking a shit, and it inspired him to. And he went. I've got to write more for Christopher Priestley because it's he's constantly thinking of why the show can evolve.
What was the question again?
Even whilst I'm distracting him at the urinal.
He was chanting the names to himself.
No, he was doing it. So it was like this. He was going. I don't know whatever Christ. He would go like, no, he'd say like Silas, Pepper, Mercy, Temperance, Silas, Pepper, Mercy, and he would say that's all. And I went, you're right. And he went, yeah, I'm just, please leave me alone. Why are you pooing next to me?
It was not. I know.
Was he having a sit down wee, or was he doing a poo?
Pardon?
Was he having a sit down wee, or
he was just urinating in the corner, just completely. He was so distracted. He just kind of moved over there. Can this go out? You know what? It's fun. It's light-hearted. It shows that we have fun.
Assuming you don't have any toilet-based stories, I'll move on to the
too many.
next question.
That's how I got the job.
What? You took a poo next to Belle? Wow.
So you've been together for. I've never corpsed during an interview before. You got me. 3 years you've spent together, and you especially coming up as a teenager, and it's ending now. Emotional, staying in touch. Got a WhatsApp. The girls were telling us they got a WhatsApp group. They're all staying in touch. Is it same for you guys?
Yeah, we're solid mates. It was a lovely 3 years. 4 years now since we first met, and yeah, it was. We all still do stuff. We've got a solid little group of people that we spent 4 years of our life with, so it's lovely.
Yeah, it's nice. We see each other loads. Not like that.
Too much.
I know, yeah. But yeah, no, it is. It's nice. We all keep in touch, don't we? And chat, go for a few beers here and there. So, yeah.
How long do you spend on set? How long do you spend filming for each season?
5.5 months. 5.5. Yeah, we were out there for 5.5. We were out there for probably more time than we're in England. The year, and it really was an investment. It was like a paid summer holiday, but where you actually had to do some work and graft. But we were out there, and you are on set and you are working together. And when we first met, I was thinking, God, these people, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of personalities, and you get quite scary when you start a new job because there's big personalities, and you forget that you're all about to go through the mill. Emotionally, you're going to think you're terrible, and then you're going to worry about all the things that you're going through, and then there's going to be hot days and rainy days. And it's not the worst job in the world, but you do go through it, and they're really, really long days, early mornings, and you just come up with these kind of like fun collective experiences, and before you know it, you've been through so much, you have so many stories on camera, off camera. You help each other out doing loads of other things. You get in each other's lives because you're in a hotel or an apartment in a foreign country. All you have is each other, and you rely on each other for loads of stuff. And I think accidentally we've all kind of made friends for life, whether you like it or not. You know.
It
It is.
We're all, we literally spend 5 months together every year, and then all in between, you know, you're obviously hanging out. And you know, being in Budapest is such a mint city to be in the summer there when you've got a day off, you go to the spa. It's it was a great couple of years, you know, and I think that bond is you know, I think it's not a given that you get an amazing cast, you know, that you're all mates. So you know, we're very lucky to have that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It makes work easier, you know. You spend 14 hours on standing on set, you know, with each other. So you all have to get on, and you all have to, you know, enjoy each other's company and have a laugh. You know,
we've also evolved as people. Well, like Pokemon, the third stage Pokemon guys. Now you where we started in 2016 when we first kind of met each other to where we are now. Just thinking about like Claire is walking around with Maya and we're like Josh was
we've had families that
wasn't born.
Josh wasn't born, and where he's at now.
I was on my dad's stag year one, you know. I was like, woo! And then, you know, there's so many. There's kids have been born through the time. You know, relationships and friendships and it's cool.
We've really all we've been through over that period, and everyone stayed in touch afterwards. It has been a really wonderful experience, and even though the show is ending, the relationships aren't ending anytime soon. So it's sad to see it go, but thankful that it's kind of ended in its right time. It feels right, and it felt right when we were doing it. It wasn't sad, it was quite joyful, saying thank God we've had this amazing experience, and how wonderful that we get to kind of continue on the friendships and go on.
It must be quite satisfying as an actor to work on a show that has a plan for 3 years, as opposed to one that's just going to go on and on. Classics like the X-Files, Fox just want to keep making more money out of it. For someone to have that plan of action and say you're going to have a resolution at the end, or at least the character arcs are going to be complete. Were you happy with the resolution?
Yeah, I think 3 was a really lovely thing to do. You know, you're so lucky when you get to do a series, you know, and then to get 2 is amazing. You get to sort of delve deeper into your characters, and then to get 3 is sort of, it feels the right number for this. You know, it's really working up to quite an important bit in history between the Native Americans and the Europeans. And it just felt right. All our characters had sort of gone on this journey from season 1 to, certainly for me, I had a totally different character, you know. You know, a whole different feeling, a whole different look. So yeah, to finish there at the end of 3 is, I think, lovely. You know, it's 24 hours of these stories, and you know, doing it within 3, you know what the end point kind of is. You're not sort of going, right, what do we do next season? How can we shape these characters up again? Or should we go back? Should we make them a hero again? So yeah, 3 is a lovely number.
Makes me wonder how many shows would benefit from being restricted to 3.
I have to say, there's not many shows that I've watched after. Personally, after 2 or 3, you know.
There was my favourite TV show of all time is The Leftovers. After Jamestown. I love Jamestown for many reasons, but The Leftovers is great. And that same thing, The Leftovers is a show which they knew going into the 3rd series it was going to be its final series. The way it's written is with such kind of confident complexity, and it allows you to really delve into the characters, and it's got such a fascinating mythos to it that is really, really beautiful, and it feels really, really complete. And you know, the reason people think that Breaking Bad is one of the greatest shows of all time is because it ends in the right way. It goes into that season with that wonderful sense of knowing that this is the end, the confidence that Vince Gilligan has in knowing that this show is going to end at this point. And it does, and it feels complete. It doesn't feel like we're on season 11 of Grey's Anatomy or season 35 of Grey's Anatomy. Obviously, that's a different procedural type show, but
great show,
but it serves a different purpose. But there feels like a real, you know, nice rounding off to it.
It's complete. It's a nice little trilogy.
You can watch it nice.
I would have felt sad if we hadn't done 3. I think there was so many more stories to tell, and that's why this season, you know, is moving towards a real definitive sort of end.
It is right.
You
know,
know,
at the beginning, you get the sense, the way that we hit
him with it.
It's almost. I described it as like it's a Greek tragedy this year. You know, at the beginning of a Greek tragedy, you have the soothsayer that comes on and basically says this is what's going to happen at the end of the play, and the characters themselves have to deal with the understanding of whether that's true or not. We as an audience know that is going to be the truth because it's history, and we've already been told that it's going to happen. Those are the similar things that happen at the beginning of season 1 of this, and it's about characters battling with that reality and the truth that's inevitably going to happen in front of them. And there is this like, it's almost like an avalanche of inevitability, and you can try and escape it, but can you escape, you know, this thing that we're seeing? And I think that's kind of how it feels to me, and certainly with the way that Maria has these visions, and other characters have the foresight to understand that society may begin to crumble if it continues to go on the way that it's going. There is a real sense of like, this is how it's going to end. Doom will come.
You're telling a story that I wasn't exposed to at school at all. Very little of British history was really covered in my syllabus at school. So I'm, you know, this is a show that's introduced things to me that I was completely unaware of. The question I've got is around shows that do period stuff like this. What responsibility do you think they have, and the writers have, for telling accurate stories and balancing that with the drama and the melodrama and, you know, the more soap opera like parts of the interactions between characters? Do you think a show like this has a responsibility to remain accurate, or do you think people should just accept it as this is a drama and you should enjoy it for the interpersonal stuff?
I think it's sort of you know, all historic dramas have a commitment to be historically accurate. And I think it is in all the historical beats that happen. How you then tell that dramatically through the characters that you choose. You know, there was thousands of people in that town and that river, and it then came on boats. There was, you know, I think 110 women came over as the first maids for marrying. So I sort of feel as a writer that you choose the stories that you want to tell. That's what makes it interesting, and that's what makes it watchable. And because you go, I've got these thousands of people, I'm going to choose this person because they are, Jocelyn is amazing, and you're choosing your characters. You could also choose to tell it about 5 very boring characters, but it's not interesting, you know. So I think you can, you've got a responsibility to choose the story that you tell, and what characters you choose to tell that story. Because historically, all the points that are happening within it are right. You know,
also the idea of accuracy I find fascinating, because it's probably the most vague interpretation of like what. I mean, I would ask you, what do you mean by historical accuracy? And that's not an attack on you. It's I find that phrase.
Whoa, guys, please.
Let me get them, boys. Let me get them. Like, what is accuracy to something? Is it a representation of what they believe to be humanity? I think that often dramas, in the best possible way, use history as a playground. They use it as an opportunity to reflect the state of the time that we are currently in, and serving it back to you as a mirror. I think that's kind of what historical drama serves as. It's why a universal acceptance of like why it's really good to watch, because the films of Cecil B. DeMille are not historically accurate, but they are still wonderful interpretations of that period of history's idea of what they want that period of history to be. They are themselves reflections of the time, and I think that we are currently in an age where we are looking to find we're looking to find interesting humans, and those interesting humans can be women as well. And often you find that drama has historically neglected that period of history. Jamestown is a reflection of the times that we live in, that need, that pursuit to find flawed, fascinating. They don't have to be strong. Strength can manifest itself in those different times. And Jamestown is a reflection of that. It's a reflection that we live in an age where we are looking for stories that are driven by women, and they are told, and we show that adversity that they face, not just then but now. And I think that's what historical dramas can do. And I think, and hopefully that's what Jamestown is a representation of, is like we are in an age where that's what we're looking for as an audience. Maybe.
And my attitude is that if something if a show introduces that subject to you, the onus is on the viewer to then investigate further. I don't think you should rely on the show necessarily.
Exactly.
What I'm
And
doing.
actually, on further investigation, you do find like all of Bill's stuff about, Niamh's slanders and her amazing sort of vocabulary as Verity is nabbed from books and journals and court proceedings of. That's where her amazing sort of swear words are from court books of the time. I can't remember. She would be able to tell you all, amazing little slanders that she had, but they were all nabbed from that. So I think it's also about how we view history, isn't it? Sort of say, well, those women didn't exist, that man didn't exist, that story didn't exist, when actually they just haven't really been told they're there.
Yeah.
It's how we're, as a society, are viewing women's place at the time.
Yeah, because society has told me that those people didn't exist as opposed to going to explore it for themselves. The idea that a human person can have an individual personality that doesn't represent the greater whole that was represented. Social history is looking at the masses, not looking at the individuals. So to say that those types of people didn't exist because the social structure looked like this is ridiculous. Are we taking individual identity away from every single person? I don't represent the 28 other million people in this country. I am myself, and I speak for myself. And I think that those people that say those people didn't exist are ignoring the nuances of humanity that have existed throughout time.
Fair point.
That's the joy of telling a story, but choosing who you tell the story about.
Yeah.
There was 100 women on that first boat, and it's like, what stories do we want to tell? We want to tell the stories about these amazing women that came in and changed it and affected the world. In the same way, why are you telling a story about Silas? Why are we choosing him out of, or James Reed or the Doctor, out of all the thousands of people that were in that village? We've chosen to tell a story about them, and
I have to wrap up now, but I am going to ask you, what are you watching right now? What would you recommend?
Medici, starring Stuart Martin on Netflix.
Ben Starr.
And Ben Starr, Medici.
Amazing answer.
But also, I've just
Free
finished
Solo last night.
Free Solo we watched last night. You seen that?
No, I really want to see
Good.
it.
It sounds. Yeah, you did.
That's in it.
The assassination of
very
Versace.
yellow toenails.
Yeah, you did.
Very yellow toenails.
I think everyone's been absolutely waxing lyrical about Russian Doll. It's really worth a watch.
Is it good?
I haven't met a person who hasn't. Well, actually, a lot of people don't like it, but it is a very particular flavour. It's a great reimagining of what Groundhog Day might look like, and in today's society, it's really well observed. It requires kind of almost like a binge watch. I know so many people that have watched all 8 episodes in one go, straight through. It's really good. I've started on Barry as well, which is about an assassin who decides he wants to become an actor in LA, which is really cool.
Nice.
That was Globe nominated, wasn't it? That was that's been really popular.
It's really great. It's an amazing performance of Bill Hader, because he plays famous for playing quite big characters, and there's something so beautifully understated that it's a really surreal situation in which an assassin who's kind of not really happy with his lot has come back and believes that he can make it as an actor, and it's really funny and really dark as well. I'm trying to think what else is really
Afterlife.
Yeah.
Great. Ricky Gervais's new
Ricky
thing.
Gervais.
I love that.
Anything he does.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is there is so much TV and so little time to watch.
You can't stay
on my,
across it.
on my Skybox, I have Escape at Dannemora to watch. I've got the second series of Westworld. All these I think The Truth, a new The Tale, I think it's called. And there's just so many awesome things that high quality stuff that's being made.
It used to be that you could be across all of them and you'd have something to say about all of them, but these days it's
You
like
can't,
you've got to
yeah.
choose 10%.
That's why sometimes I didn't get on with the Umbrella Academy. I watched 3 episodes of it and decided I wasn't going to.
The ladies, funny enough, were like, no, you've got to definitely got to watch the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, I didn't get on with it, and I totally understand why it is for some people, but because I've got so many things brewing, I thought, it's not for me, I'm going to stick to something else.
Prioritise.
I watched the first season of Daredevil, but then didn't continue on it, even though I know it's a brilliant show. I just don't have time to watch it. Everyone should have time to watch Jamestown season 3.
Sky, now TV.
Also, because it's not available all in one go, you don't have to binge watch it, and you can pace it out. And actually, it is
Great
nice.
God.
It
Yeah.
is really nice.
It's serious.
I just think
Absolutely
that is on offer. It's like, you know, it doesn't seem insurmountable. You can start now; they are available, and you can watch them week by week. You can make 43 minutes if you're watching it on catch up, or an hour of your time. It's not difficult. You don't have to watch all 8 of them in one go. But it will be so good.
Comic relief next year, you could have that gig.
What
The pitching.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good stuff. Lads, really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,